Now in its 9th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, everybody. In red, it says Alex, and in the yellow, it says the Ramble. This is Alex with the Ramble. Ladies and gentlemen, this here is Larry Bubbles Brown. Hello, Bubs.
Hello, Alex.
How you doing?
Well, yeah, so okay. Just we were talking that had a little dental thing, but as someone said, let's see, when you hit 60, it's one thing. When you hit 70, it's just everything's, there's a cascade of misfortune physically.
Well, you know what I have? I have these weird things. I have. It's cold right now, so I'm very stiff. You know, and I'm sitting here. I get up, I go, ugh. You know, and I'm kind of crawling at a slower speed around the apartment. You know, I go back to, and it was reported that this was said by Betty Davis, "Getting old ain't for sissies," you know, and it's true.
That's a great quote.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you're hitting what now?
I'm 70. Yeah.
You're 70.
Yeah.
Wow. You're only 14 years younger than I am. You're in what I call the death region. You know, I mean, I don't know how to describe it better than that. But every day I wake up and I go, I'm about to be 84, right? And I go, wow, I'm
That's
84?
incredible.
You know, this is ridiculous, you know. I made it this far, and I'm kind of becoming the Norman Lear of radio, you know. So it's just.
Well, I talked to a high school friend, and he's my age, and he said he was going to get a dog, and then he realized, oh my God, the dog's probably going to outlive me.
Well,
so he didn't get it.
I won't get a cat for that reason. Marjorie wants a cat, and I say 2 reasons we don't get a cat. Like, we're going to do some traveling soon, and who takes care of the cat? We don't have anybody to take care of the cat. And secondly, I don't want that cat looking at me every day going, you know, I'm going to be here long after you're gone. You know. So. But I don't, you know, I mean, I wake up every morning and I go, well, still not at room temperature. I guess it's okay. You know. And then I try to get out of bed. I do 50 sit-ups every morning now.
Really?
But that's how many times it takes me to get out of bed. So anyway, how you been otherwise?
Well, at least you didn't play. I was reading that guys that play professional football, the linebackers, they get hit so hard. They said by the time they're 50, they actually have a hard time getting out of bed.
Chevy Chase said that, you know, every week for 13 weeks while he was on Saturday Night Live, and that's only how long he was on Saturday Night Live. He used to take that pratfall, you know, and say, it's live, it's Saturday night. They never said Saturday Night Live because that was a show that Howard Cosell had over on ABC. It was originally just called Saturday Night, you know, and Saturday Night, and we're live, you know. So anyway, he said that because of all those falls, by the time he was 50, he couldn't get out of bed every morning. But it took him, 8 tries because every bone was aching, just from just from 13 weeks of pratfalls. So
probably, I can only imagine like how Buster Keaton must have felt.
Buster Keaton. I'll tell you what happened to Buster Keaton. He did one stunt. I could even show it to you if I had the film, in which he was on a one of those water towers the thing comes out and puts water in the train, so that it can cool the engine or whatever it does. And so part of the stunt was that thing comes out, he's hanging on it. And then the water starts gushing out and he falls. Well, the water hit him with such force that he fell to the ground, and he said, "Oh, my neck's killing me," And it was killing him for a couple of weeks and so on. So now it's years later, and he goes in for an examination, and he was asked by the doctor, "So when was it you broke your neck?"
Wow.
I mean, he went that far. He broke his neck. So, and if anybody wants to see the greatest stunts ever done in movies, go watch Buster Keaton.
Oh, the best. That's the one where the house falls over him, and the door. He comes through the door.
You know how they did that? They had the door on hinges that were pretty solid and steady, so that the thing wouldn't move either way. And then they lowered it, and he stood right where the doorway was. And then they lifted it back up, and he just stood in that spot and hoped and prayed that when it came down just right. But that's one of the greatest stunts in movies. And he did all manner of stunts. I think the greatest visual gag he ever did is he and his wife build this house. It's a kit that's sent to you with all the parts for a house, and you put the house together. And of course, they put it together so it looks really weird, right? So now they've got it. They've got a car, and they're pulling it, and they hit a railroad track, and the car separates from the house, and now the car is sitting on a railroad track. And they suddenly realize that now they're on either side of it, and occasionally they're trying to push it, but it won't move, and it won't move. And finally, here comes a train, and you can see it coming down behind the house, and it keeps coming and keeps coming and keeps coming. And then it turns out it's on another rail, and it just goes right by the house. And they have this big sigh of relief, and then another train comes from another direction and wipes the house out.
Of course.
Now, those were great gags, by the way. I mean, just
fantastic.
But he really did a lot of stunts. He got hurt, But he in all the documentaries I see of him, they don't say that in later life he had a hard time getting out of bed or whatever. They never get into that. But I'm sure, he had all kinds of pains from all kinds of disasters that befell him. But I don't know how old he was when he died. Hold on a second. Echo? How old was Buster Keaton when he died? Well, it's being snarky today. Echo, how old was Buster Keaton when he died?
Buster Keaton died at 70 years old in 1966 in Los Angeles, California.
Okay.
His cause of death was lung cancer.
Oh, he died of lung cancer. He was a smoker. Yeah, I remember.
Really?
Yeah, but 70 years old. So he never got to the point where he would say, "Boy, am I having a hard time getting out of bed in the morning." So anyway, that's my story on Buster Keaton.
Did he make a fortune or not?
Oh, when he was in his prime in silent films, and he owned all his pictures, and he had complete control over his films, he was one of the wealthiest people in Hollywood. But then he lost it all to a thing called divorce. And it was a terrible thing. I mean, he wound up not having a penny. He owned one of the biggest mansions in Hollywood. He was very wealthy, and very successful. I would say financially almost as successful as Charlie Chaplin. Just that Charlie Chaplin really had a worldwide fan base. And, I mean, I always preferred Keaton to Chaplin. I realized Chaplin's greatness, and there was an elegance about what he did, but it really wasn't that good, I think. I think Keaton was brilliant, just absolutely brilliant. Charlie Chaplin was a one-thing act, There was this little tramp and blah, 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 and that's it, Everybody loved the tramp because they loved Mickey Mouse. So, anyway, you know what I forgot to bring in here is liquid. Oh, well, we'll keep going. When we take a break, I'll go get liquid.
You can't dehydrate.
Yeah, well, I'm starting. If I don't have liquid, I'm starting to spit out of the front of my mouth. These are old people things. I'm an old person. I'm an old man. Do you think of yourself?
80.
Do you realize you're 70?
I don't. Yeah, I don't feel that way, but I guess I am. It's.
80 was okay for me. I don't think I started having problems of any amount till I hit 80. And then I'm really in the death zone.
You should ask Echo what the average life expectancy of an American male is. I thought it was 78, but
I thought it went down.
It has gone down in the past couple of years.
Okay, wait a minute. Echo, what's the average age of Echo, stop. What do we want to ask it? What's the average?
The average life expectancy of American males.
Echo, what's the life expectancy of an American male?
The average life expectancy in the United States is 79 years.
It's the average life expectancy, but she didn't let me finish. Echo, what's the average life expectancy of a male? Echo, what is the life Now she's not reacting to me. Echo, what is the average life expectancy of an American male?
The average life expectancy of an American male is around 76 years.
76 years for males.
70. Oh, okay. So it has gone down.
Yeah, it's always higher for women. And
yeah.
It's got to be
They don't
true.
complain about that.
Because Marjorie has a whole bunch of friends, who are her age because they went to school with her, right? I don't think any of them have a husband. I think one of them has a husband who's still alive. So I'm lucky, So we'll see, I'm throwing that. Well, that's a life expectancy. I mean, some males die at 20, So that's a life expectancy. But if you make it to if you make it to my age, I think I'm on borrowed time. That's what I'm on. But
That is a scary thing to think about.
Well, it is, but it's an adventure I've yet to do, I guess. I don't, I fear death. You do too. You're the same way.
Oh yeah.
We both fear death like crazy, and so that's what the hell, It's something you have to look forward to. Nobody gets out of this world alive. And we are given so many years on Earth, and we should use them probably well. Do you think you've used your life well so far? I mean, if you died tomorrow, well, they say, well, he had a good life.
I don't think I wouldn't have a lot of regrets, but yeah, I think it'd be I did okay. Didn't have to work too hard, so
yes, right.
Which was the primary goal of getting into comedy. I was just
you do know manual labor. Excuse me. You do know manual labor.
Yeah, that's what Jim Samuels used to say about stand-up comedy when people would complain. He goes, "Hey, there's no heavy lifting here."
There's no heavy lifting at all. Well, how about me with radio? no heavy lifting. I don't. People say, "How long did you work?" I said, "I never worked a day in my life." You know, and I can't say I did. What did we do? We went in every morning in San Francisco, and we just had fun for 4 hours, and then we left and went home.
Yeah, it's not work if you're enjoying it.
Well, that's why anybody who works should enjoy what they're doing. And I mean, exactly. That doesn't mean that if you have some heavy labor, that can't be enjoyable. I've known people who were into heavy labor and loved it.
Oh yeah.
You know? So I mean, love what you're doing. If you don't love what you're doing, go find something else to do. That's what I say. And that's what I say at almost 84, having lived a long life. All right?
You got into one of the greatest businesses ever.
What?
You got into one of the greatest businesses ever.
I did? Oh, no. I think yours is a better business. I mean, radio, I don't think there was ever a period of time in my life in radio that I didn't have to fight over something. You know? Because you had a business that was run by salesmen, because people who became general managers had been salesmen, and then you've got yourself doing a show, and you are a talent. And it was very hard to deal with people who didn't understand talent. To them, talent was just...
I thought it was the consultants that ruined the radio more than the salesmen, right? Because they're always giving you shitty advice about what to do with the show.
Well, the consultants were another breed, okay? And there were some good consultants, I'll have to say. Those were the ones that thought I was terrific. But consultants didn't run radio stations. The general managers did, and most of them came out of sales. And that kind of person doesn't normally understand talent. I'll tell you, the one guy that did understand talent was Mel Karmazin, who ran Sirius XM while I was there, for the most of the time I was there. When he was gone, I was then gone. In fact, I felt that. The minute he left, I felt that my days were numbered. But he loved talent. But he just lorded over salespeople. He just gave them the worst time in the world, But he loved talent. And it was true where I was working at Sirius XM. I never heard a word about what to do on my show until he left. And then all of a sudden it was, don't you think you should do this? And don't you think you should do that? And blah, 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 blah. And then one day I get that call into the office and they go, well, we have something unpleasant to tell you. Yeah, right. But it's not your fault. Well, then whose fault is it? I would say. And they answer back, but we don't know, but it's not your fault,
So where did he just retire?
He, I think he quit, or there was some I think he was almost forced to leave, and he saved the company, But Mel was the guy who went to bat for Howard Stern against the FCC, Howard Stern's career would not be what it is without Mel Karmazin. And I always feared the guy, but when I finally worked for him, I suddenly found out he was the opposite of everything I had ever heard.
Mm.
And I turned down a job once because it was with a Mel Karmazin station. That was when I got flown out to Washington and wined and dined. And I figured they just wanted to get me out of San Francisco so Howard Stern could move in. That I was the only thing between Howard Stern and success in San Francisco. So, that was that, But I've had to fight every inch in radio, Hell, I used to have a meeting every day with the program director at Live 105. It was a required meeting where we sit down and he would tear apart the show and say what was wrong and what was right and so on. And one day I said, don't you feel this is all useless? He said, why? I said, when's the last time you can remember me ever paying attention to what you've told me? He said, well, never. And I said, and you should also think, what happened is it happened to me at Sirius. They should have a meeting with me every day. And finally, one day, the program director said, why should I have a meeting with you? You're the talent, and you've been a successful talent over the years. You know better than me what to do. So let's not have these meetings anymore.
Well, that's cool.
And I felt that was okay. But I used to have meetings every day with Richard Sands, and I like the guy, But it was just, I'm sorry, I'm successful, getting you good ratings, all of that. Why do we have to have this meeting? So that was the crux of it. But I've had to fight, constantly, and been fired several times by stations that didn't understand what I was doing, or it seemed so easy that they didn't think I was actually working. But it's, I kind of said that radio is like anal sex. The hard part is making it look fun.
Well, your show pulled in so much money in one morning. It was.
Yeah, I made a lot of money for that radio station. It was amazing how much. And now I heard
the ad revenue per day on your show was they pulled in 36 to 40,000.
Really? Well,
yeah.
And that was in what?
That's 25 years ago.
25 years ago. They put that in today's money, it's a lot more. But if I made
at least
that,
double, yeah.
I was making them a couple of thousand.
You're making
a week.
them a fortune.
Yeah, a couple of $100,000 a week. Yeah. I didn't know I was. Where'd you hear that? I never heard that.
Somebody told me that at the station. Yeah. So.
Oh, really? They never came to me and said, "Alex, you're a good wage earner. You make us $30,000 a day." I'd go, "What?" I didn't know it was that much. But then again, I never wanted anything for making them a lot of money, except when we went into contract negotiations, and then I wanted my fair share. That's all. But I was doing it because you hired me to do a job, and I'm doing it. And you're reaping the rewards of that. But I was making good money. I should have made, I think, better money. But, what we did is, remember those live reads I used to do?
Yeah.
On a contract renegotiation, we made a deal where every time I read one of those, I had to get $50. And they said, okay. So they would just charge the advertiser an extra $50 to have Alex Bennett do a live read, right? Uh-huh. They weren't losing money. So that was okay. And some mornings I'd have 4 live reads. I made $200 a morning doing live reads 5 days a week. That's $1,000 a week. That's an extra $52,000 a year.
Geez, yeah, that adds up.
Yeah, it adds up. So that worked out okay. We were happy with that. Those were the days. And then I took everybody out to lunch. And then I, if you were a comic and you needed a few bucks, I remember I actually co-signed a loan for a car for Bob Rubin, things like that. Yeah, I was just, and when it was all over, I didn't have any money. I had some, but not a lot. And I should have had more. And then I did all the comedy shows. That was that brought me in another, I don't know, $20,000-$30,000 a year. I mean, I was making fuck you money. That's what I was making.
Oh yeah.
So, but now I'm sitting here on Social Security, but I've got a little bit. I had a little bit saved up after I came to New York. I started saving. Now I bet you save.
Yeah, I'm hardly rich, but I've always saved money. So
Did you always put some away, a little bit away, to make sure that...
I did. Although there were some lean years there where I kind of quit, where things had to burn through some savings.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about that in your lean years.
In my upcoming bio.
In your upcoming bio. Butter. That'd be the name of it.
Butter.
Anyway, thank you, Larry
Thanks,
Bubbles
Alex.
Brown. We'll see you next week. Or not next week. We've got some holidays coming up. So we'll see you, though. Larry Bubbles Brown, folks.
Now in its 9th year, this is GabNet, the great American broadcast network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. That was Larry Bubbles Brown. There's nobody like Larry. We love Larry. Everybody loves Larry. Everybody loves Raymond. I don't know. Anyway, hello, everybody. How are you? How you doing? What's happening? Hey, we're getting into that holiday period. In fact, I got to send out a notification to all my shows that we're off for a week between Christmas and New Year. We're off. We're not off though. I'm going to do, I think, a Monday show, but I'm figuring out how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a New Year's Eve show. Okay, do that about maybe 11 o'clock at night. But we'll let you know about that next week. We'll figure it all out. I haven't figured it out yet. Okay, all right. Okay, is that all right with you? All righty. I think it's time for us to go out and talk to our people on Zoom. And let me bring them all in here. Oh, there are a whole bunch of them. Oh, boy, we were starting off with a nice bunch of people. There we go. There's Jeff, and there's Kevin, and there's Charlie, and there's Josh. We'll let you know about that next week. We'll figure it all out. You got to get rid of your audio there.
Yeah,
all righty. I think it's time for us to go out and talk to our people on Zoom. Do you have a browser up? Bring them all in here. Do you have a browser up, Jeff? Boy, we were starting off with a... Okay, he did it. Well, okay. Now, wait a minute. Now, what's with the dog? Is that Kansas the dog?
That's Brian.
Oh,
you know, you left us last night, and we had a great closing, and you missed it, and then it didn't even get aired.
Well, see what happened. You know what happened?
You lost power or something.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. There was a massive power outage in all of New York and suburbs for a quick flash second. Okay? Lights.
The Russians testing you.
Clicked on and off. The only problem with it was nothing here changed. You know, like all my clocks stayed the way they should and everything. But I lost my computer. The computers went down. So that had to be all reset and all of that. But
we just saw you sitting there like this.
There was an explosion in Brooklyn.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Some I don't know. Terrible thing.
The Russians.
Yeah.
We only see you on YouTube.
Oh, I see. Okay, hold on a second. Let me zoom. There we
They didn't even see Kansas the dog. Jeez.
Oh, well, show us Kansas the dog. What are you eating there? Well, let's see that. Hold that up.
No,
Let's see it. No, let's see what you're eating. We want to see what you're eating.
Baked potato.
Is it baked potato? Really?
Yeah, we had a couple of potatoes, and I just had that urge for one. So
Occasionally, just a baked potato tastes good, right? Do you put butter on it? Put sour cream?
and a little ranch. Yeah.
A little ranch? Okay, sour cream is very good on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have sour cream.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so that was my problem last night. So if people were listening to the program on our postings and so on, they only heard it just cut off, at a certain point.
I didn't realize it until it said you are now the host up in the corner of my
Yeah, we could have stayed. We could have stayed on. We could have stayed on.
What's interesting is you became the host.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
I don't know. Maybe it's from the Saturday night thing.
No, because I've never made you a host.
Were you the first person? No, you weren't the first person I called in, right?
Yeah, it was.
So maybe that's what defaults to the next person that.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, who knows what it was?
But
we automatic co-pilot, so it wouldn't crash.
What is that in the background? What is that? No, but what is that? Oh, those are 2 feet. I see. Okay.
Oh.
She's on her iPad. She has headphones in, so she can't hear.
She has to make her presence known, doesn't she?
You can hear it, then you got to get out.
Because Daddy's going to talk dirty.
Yeah, you already did about some. You just said what is oh my God.
Don't say
I can't
it.
say.
So how long did you guys keep going after I got off last night?
2
we
minutes.
stopped. Yeah,
It was 2
because we
minutes,
stopped.
I wanted to get off because I knew you had to have Amy take over the other board or whatever. So I just,
No,
I
she
just shut it down
didn't.
at
She
58.
that wouldn't have interrupted Amy at all.
Oh, I would have kept going then, but I saw 58, and I know you like to get off at 58, so I just shut it down.
Yeah, no. The only thing we have to turn down here, so Amy can go on, is the encoder for the audio, and then she automatically can just,
I know how you like to be on time, so I just.
But she said
kept the tradition. I told everybody to, if you see her, tell her I love her, and I said goodbye.
Yeah, she uses an encoder called butt. All right.
I don't want to mess with her butt.
Yeah, no, and it's B-U-T-T is how it's spelled. Okay. And I think somebody named it that because they wanted people to say, "I think your butt is down," or take your audio and put it in your butt.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway,
Go
so
check
she has butt, and butt, as opposed to the encoder I have, which is I pay for it and it's expensive, but it doesn't do what hers does. Hers is free, and what it does is if I shut down, she starts the thing going, okay, and it's just trying to contact. The minute I stop encoding, hers just automatically goes on. And last night she didn't know why hers was automatically going on earlier, you know. So that was that. But you know what the hell, you know. It was, but it was quite an adventure. I mean, it was just like everything. It wasn't even a complete blackout. It wasn't like we suddenly went black and then for a while it was off and then all of a sudden they came back on. It was like bloop. But that was enough to kill my router, to kill all my computers and everything like that. But it didn't kill anything like a clock or TV sets or, you know, anything like that. I mean, it was amazing. It was just weird. So
In Brooklyn, and something happened in Brooklyn?
it was a switch in Brooklyn or something blew up.
Okay.
So. Or as they said over at Con Ed, I think there's some smoke coming out of this thing. Yep, it sure is. Anyway, so that was my little adventure last night. Thank you all for having put up with it. We were having a great show. Thank God this happened at 11:55 last night. So most of the show was over with. So we're fine. You know, we're good. So anyway, I found this humorous. Oh, pick a bone, the humorous. Okay. It's not exactly a astrophysics joke. No. Anyway, so here we are. Hello, Josh. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm delighted today because what was it? Rudolph Giuliani.
Yes.
They made a judgment against him for what? $143 million?
48.
48, is that it?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wonder what it's like to go into debt like that in 15 minutes.
And he's broke.
Yeah, he's broke. Those poor women aren't
Imagine
going
all
to
the-
collect a dime.
The first thing he said
Imagine all
after
the-
this happened
yeah.
was, "Will they take a credit card?"
Doesn't matter.
I mean, how
But
do you
those,
pay? How do you pay that thing off?
You
obviously.
sell all those buildings that he owns.
No, he doesn't have anything left.
They'll seize his assets and
What?
they'll seize his assets and sell it
Yeah.
off.
His house, his car.
But those black women are going to be able to buy a lot of crack with that money. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sure that's what Trump said.
Yeah, that's the thing is Trump's done
snort it,
just as
shoot it.
bad with it.
Yeah, I mean, smoke it, snort it, shoot it, whatever they feel like, 7 days a week. Pass it back and forth.
And because that's what black people do, right?
Yeah, right.
They buy drugs. Yeah.
Yeah, and watch, like
If you
Beyonce
got
concerts on
a
pay-per-view.
hundred and was it $48 million?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Let's say, and you only got half of it because the daughter gets half and the mother gets half.
Oh.
And the lawyer gets three-thirds. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
3/3?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean 3/3? All of it? You mean?
Yeah, probably.
Well,
Yeah,
the
that's
lawyer,
usually what it works
the
out
lo-
to, yeah.
The lawyer is probably getting, if I know law well, I think something like 25%.
Yeah, I thought it. Yeah.
It's usually 2/3.
Usually, no, it's
Yeah.
not 2/3. Never.
Well, that's
2/3.
they got
Least
from me.
third.
Never mind, so.
Oh, is that what they got from you? What?
Oh yeah, 2/3. That's the old joke. 2/3.
Really? Well, anyway, if you
yeah.
let's say now after lawyers, after taxes, you've got what, 75 million apiece? No, wait a minute. No, that wouldn't be right. You've got maybe 50 million apiece.
Yeah.
What would you do with the 50 million? I'd probably sue Rudolph Giuliani again.
Yeah. I don't know how much money they'll ever actually
Yeah.
get. But,
I don't
you
think
know.
they're sitting around counting the cash. Okay.
No, but what it does is, I think obviously, I'm not a lawyer on finance or whatever, but I believe, obviously they'll seize his assets and sell things off to do it and all that. I know there's some legal, guidance about how they have to leave you, I think enough to live or whatever, and your lawyers argue that out. But then, I think that will attach to like future assets too, or what, what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So like, for example, a year and a half or 2 years from now, if he writes some tell-all book and gets a $10 million advance or whatever, I think they just say, oh, here you go. Well, going to give that to these black ladies that you owe money,
Yeah.
Another handout for the black community.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
But I'm not sure, but I believe that, it doesn't really expire. It's not as if they go through it and take a little bit and then they do away with it. They, I think he's going to owe it, until they reach some other settlement or he pays it, which he probably can't. So that's what I'm saying. If he decides to write some tell-all book, I don't think, and gets 10 million or whatever, I think that he's not really going to get any of that money. He's going to get it and have to give it to them. So,
well, he obviously he's going to appeal it.
I'm sure. Probably.
Yeah, he already said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I don't think it'll be very successful, but
No.
No.
Well, I mean, it might be that they say it's a little extraordinarily high.
right.
And
but
so
I
they-
don't think that's going to
over and
bother.
over.
Hmm?
I don't.
He
I
went
don't
on
know
the
if it'll
courthouse
bother them.
steps.
Well, go ahead, Charlie. I'm sorry.
I said he went on the courthouse steps right after court and defamed them again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Said he had all the evidence that he was right
Right.
and
Oh
wasn't
boy,
allowed
he's,
to present his evidence.
his emotional range is about the same as the My Pillow guy.
Yeah.
Basically it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yes.
Like he won't give up the ghost. I mean, if he had come out, I don't think he's ever said. I don't think he's ever apologized for that, has he?
He hasn't.
And he hasn't ever said, hey, I was all wrong. I'm sorry if I made your life a living hell for a couple of months there, but I really did wrong. they probably wouldn't have even sued him.
Didn't his attorney today or yesterday or whatever admit in court that he admitted that?
Yeah, the attorney did, but
he had done wrong.
Not Giuliani.
Well,
but
to begin with, this trial wasn't about whether he was right or wrong.
Oh.
The judge already determined he was wrong. They were trying to determine how much money was going to be awarded. And the jury came back and said 148 million. I mean, you know.
I think it's a bit much, and they'll never get it.
But
it makes a statement.
You know, it's not a bit much considering what he did.
Yeah.
You know, there's one thing to defame somebody, and then there's another to defame somebody and make their life a living hell because of their defamation. Right. And their life was just, they had to leave their home. You know, they still can't move into a neighborhood and say who they are, you know, because there are people constantly threatening their lives.
They were just working for the elections department. They were just working for the election department.
That's all.
That's no big deal.
Yeah.
And, you know, he said, well, you know, they were passing back and forth. They were passing back and forth stuff. And what it was
like dope. It was like dope, he said.
The woman said, it was my mom passing me a ginger candy. Breath mint. Yeah.
It was crack.
Crack.
Yes, right. We all know that. Yeah, we all know that. Well, this doesn't augur too well for Trump in the Georgia.
Well, he was saying the same thing.
Yeah.
He was doing the same thing, and there's no reason why they can't go after him too.
It is another case that involves claims around the election that has been lost, and you know, decided by juries. These were not judges who just said, "Oh, but that was," you know. They can't just say it was a judge, right? You know, these were juries as well that concur with these facts.
Yeah.
You know, you take the Fox News case with Dominion voting, and you take this one here, you know, it's just another example of...
Well, Fox with Dominion completely caved and paid them whatever they wanted, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
But, you know, it's another case involving claims around the election being stolen or rigged. And, you know, both judges and juries have been finding those claims at 100% rate as false and defamatory.
Yeah, because they never show any evidence.
Well, it's because they don't have any, right? Yeah, so, you know, good. You know, I hope he ends up completely penniless.
Well, you know what we're doing? We're living in an age now where you're kind of allowed to do this sort of thing, you know? If people just say anything you want to using defamation. I mean, look at Alex Jones. Perfect example. And they think they can just do it and get away with it. And the fact is, you can't do it and just get away with it. And I think people being put on notice for this now kind of will stifle that kind of stuff, you know? So.
Yeah, there is not now, and there never has been an absolute unlimited cap, you know, no cap on free speech. I mean, there is some regulated speech. Always has been. You know?
Well, you have the freedom to speak. You just don't necessarily have the freedom to defame someone else.
Right. And there are other forms of it. I mean, you know, you can't induce panic, and you cannot, you know, call for violence in a public format and have it, you know, I mean, there is and always has been limitations, you know, and the courts have recognized it. And, you know, Giuliani is just a fool. I mean, I don't think it's a big secret. He's drunk most of the time, so I don't think that he's a wreck.
Well, how America's mayor has fallen.
Well, he's a clown.
Do you remember there was a time where they were praising this guy?
I hope that he pawns one of those rings off his fingers for $150, and he has to hand it right over to him. Fine with me.
Oh, I think he deserves everything he got.
He absolutely does.
Only, and I'm saying because he made somebody else's life miserable by his accusations.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know,
with no regard for it, and for no purpose other than try to enrich himself by cuddling up closer to his butt buddy.
Yeah. Who is not in?
What else was
and where's his butt buddy is what? He's a billionaire, right? Wait a minute. Let's assume he is what he says he is, a billionaire. Yeah. Okay. Where is he to pay off this fine? To help his good friend Rudy? Because if he's a billionaire, what's $148,000 to him?
Yeah, right.
If he has it.
Yeah.
Which I would venture to say he doesn't.
My understanding was, that Giuliani can't even pay his lawyers, and that they had to have some sort of expensive dinner at Mar-a-Lago that Trump spoke at to raise money, and that he had to beg him to do that, and I guess he finally gave in just to shut him up. So I mean, look, Giuliani's gotten. I won't. My eyes won't even glint with a tear over any of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't care. I mean,
well, I've talked to people here in New York over the years who've been quite familiar with Giuliani.
Yeah.
And also his pal, the former police chief of New York.
Bernard
Kerik. And this particular person that I talked to said I said, are they crooked? And she says, are you kidding me? She said, these are two of the crookedest people around. And, this is a guy who everybody lauded. Oh, he's such a wonderful guy, this Giuliani. All because he did do one good thing. When the buildings were coming down in New York City, he got on TV every day for an hour or so and just tried to calm everybody down.
Did a great job.
And he did a great job of that. I'm never going to deny that wasn't a great... He wrote the textbook on how to handle a situation like that.
Yeah.
But of course there were things like he stored all the gasoline for the what was it for the for like in case you have an emergency gasoline thing. He stored it in World Trade Center 9. When people told him, don't put it there, put it in Brooklyn, right? And no, he put it there.
No.
So there was a lot of stuff about Giuliani that was screwed up during that whole situation. But the one thing he did was his public persona was one of keeping the public calm. And I thought I've seen the tapes of that. He did an amazing job.
Yeah, he's on his way to, being homeless, maybe. I don't know. Hopefully.
Well, I think somewhere people say, what happened to Giuliani? What happened to him between then and now? And most people that I know say, no, that's the old Rudy Giuliani. It's not a new Rudy.
I think maybe it's the same person that he's always been. Mm-hmm. He just was able to hide it a long time ago. And, like I said, he's drunk all the time anymore, so he probably isn't as good at it as he used to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
if I thought I could get the satisfaction of sending him $10 so that he had to turn around and hand it to them, I would fucking do it.
Here, Rudy. Here, let's start a fund for Rudy. Anybody got $1?
But yeah, he's a jerk. I
got $1 here. If you got 148 million more, I can take care of his bill.
He's a jerk, and he's just so naive because he thought that he could just hitch onto this Trump wagon and it was going to take him to fame and power.
But Trump has done nothing for him. As I say, if Trump is a billionaire, he could write him a check for this money tomorrow and say, "Here, Rudy, thanks for being in my corner. Now I'm in yours."
And he's sunk to the bottom of Trump Lake like a brick. He literally jettisoned him the second that he didn't really need him anymore.
Yeah.
Done that with everybody.
Right.
Trump's,
I mean, we can't be that far away from Trump saying, Rudy Giuliani, I barely knew him.
Yeah,
I met him a few
it
times.
was just getting coffee for the office.
Yeah, I meet
Yeah.
a lot of people.
I think at one point he said he was never my lawyer.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying is, I mean, we can't be that far away from that point. I mean, I only met him a few times, or I mean,
What's
I
his
mean,
name again?
you want
Right.
to talk about ruining his reputation? Just standing out in front of that, what was it? A garden shop?
Oh yeah.
Landscaping.
Landscaping.
Yeah.
It was a Four Seasons
shop on the other
landscaping.
side.
Well,
Yeah.
he thought he
Across
was
from the porn
he was
shop.
holding it at the Four Seasons restaurant, but he was
Yeah.
holding it at the Four Seasons landscaping. Isn't that the one where the dye sweat came
Hair
down
dye.
the side
His
of
hair
his
dye is dripping. Yeah.
And
No,
Yeah,
that
I
was
mean,
a
it's
that was a
like-
press
I mean,
conference.
Oh,
if his publicist was a homeless fucking crack addict, they probably could have done better than that. I mean, I mean, who runs these things? I don't know. I mean, it's just
and
I think-
even if you made that mistake, and you Googled it, you drive up and you say, "You guys, this is the wrong place," right?
might want to.
Why would you still do it? I
But
was
wait a
like,
minute,
it's
but
so
hold on.
embarrassing.
Hold on a second. The thing is that Trump at that point, I think, was really losing his mind.
Yeah.
He lost the election and he couldn't take it. He couldn't say, well, 4 years from now, I'll get the nomination again and we'll beat the pants off Joe Biden. Okay? And then just disappear off into the woods for another 3 years and then come ahead and do something, right? But no, he couldn't do that.
Nope.
And that's what the problem was.
Didn't help.
Hmm?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't
Yeah.
help his mindset, and they've been acting this way ever since. I mean, it's ridiculous. But so, I mean, it's good to see that the systems in place do function and are working. They just take a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But slowly but surely, a lot of the people around him have been charged with crimes, or are in jail, or have been sued and lost, and it's slowly but surely that America trudges on. But he's the ever looming threat, so we're not done. We're not done yet.
Now,
Because
if you
Trump
want
is
to,
still floating around, and so is Giuliani.
if you want to talk about major fuck ups, the Israeli army has got to take the cake.
Ugh.
Yep.
Today, did you all hear about this?
Yep.
Yeah, the Israeli army killed 3 of the hostages by accident.
I don't understand how people don't see that happening. They probably have killed more that they don't know of.
Well,
And where did the news come from that they killed 3 of them?
I'm going to say
Hamas?
this now. There
From
has
Hamas?
been a rise in anti-Semitism, not only here,
Oh,
but
here
in
too.
the rest of the world.
Oh, yeah.
And do you know who has caused that?
Hamas, yes.
No. Benjamin Netanyahu has caused
If
that
Hamas had not
anti-Semitism.
fired those missiles into Israel, it would be-
I understand, but that's a separate issue. The fact is that by his actions,
I don't like
Benjamin Netanyahu has managed to create that climate of anti-Semitism.
Okay. I'll agree.
I mean, it's amazing. It's just amazing. But it is amazing that this precision army that Israel has goes down and kills 3 of the hostages. Oh, whoops. We accidentally killed. And then they kind of go like, we're sorry. Benjamin Netanyahu goes, we're very sorry.
Yeah, they admitted they did it, Alan. That's how come we know they killed 3 hostages, because they admitted they did
But
it.
they probably have killed more.
I know they probably have.
Hamas-
When they were doing all that bombing, they probably killed a bunch.
Absolutely, I agree.
Oh, then they're going to flood the tunnels where the hostages are. That's a good idea.
Well, we don't know that. We don't know that the hostages are there.
Yes,
Well,
no, they
that's
said they were there.
Yeah.
Who
Once they
said
got released.
You don't read the news, do you?
I don't. I listen to the news very little.
Yeah, well,
It's all bullshit.
the hostages that came out said they were being kept in those tunnels. They were being kept in rooms that were created in the tunnels.
And then they said they were flooding the tunnels with seawater, right?
They were going, yeah, they were starting to.
Yeah, well, they're
great.
short on fresh water there, so.
That'll help. I'll help that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just what a crazy world we live in, huh?
That's for sure.
Well, one thing that we always forget about, all of these people who live in Israel, Jewish people, they went there
Well,
because
not
they
just
had no place
not just
else.
wait a minute, not just Jewish people live in Israel, okay?
I know that.
Yeah.
But the reason that Jews went there is because they couldn't go anyplace else. They couldn't get into England. They couldn't get into the United States.
No, they
Yeah, we
couldn't.
wouldn't
No,
take
wait a
them.
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. They could after the war, and that was after the war. Israel wasn't formed till after the war.
That's true.
Yeah.
1948.
And a lot of Jews did come over here after the war. But we weren't taking Jews in during the war when we should have been taking them in. That's the crime. You know. Then again, I'm Jewish, and I don't know if I want a Jew living next door to me, but that's another story altogether. They constantly complain about their health, and anyway. But I mean, it's just I mean, I feel sorry for any of the people in Israel who were affected by this, by Hamas. But there were only 1,200 hostages taken. Wait a minute, not even 1,200 hostages.
Yeah.
There were 250 hostages at most,
I think.
and then the rest were of the 1,200 or so were people who got killed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look at what has happened to Gaza. Look what's happened to Palestinians in that area, most of which didn't even want anything to do with Hamas. They just had to live with them because they were running the game down there, like a mob would run a neighborhood. These were innocent people. And when you say, well, they weren't that innocent, well, there were 4,500 of them so far by reliable estimates were children.
Yep.
Okay, so how do you excuse that? What you do is if you want to go in there, you do it with great care to make sure to just kill the right people you went in to kill.
The problem is those children shouldn't have voted for Hamas 15 years before they were born.
Yeah, right. Yep, you're absolutely correct.
Mhm.
Well, it was their parents' fault. Well, they voted in Hamas in, 2012, I think it was?
2007, I think.
Seven, yeah.
And by a couple of years later, they knew they'd made a big mistake, but then when they tried to hold more elections to get rid of them, they wouldn't let them hold the elections.
Nope.
So really, they were as much victims as Israelis were.
Sounds like Donald Trump, doesn't it?
Well, Donald Trump's another situation altogether. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that America is going to, in the next election, vote out democracy.
Yeah, I think he'll
He
win.
wins, yeah.
But that's voting out democracy.
Yes.
Because
absolutely.
he's said it already.
Yep.
It's not like he's lying. He's made campaign. He's going to be the first politician to make campaign promises that he keeps.
Yeah.
Be a dictator on day one. What happens on day two? You're going to not be a dictator anymore? I'm going to get even with all those people. I'm going to sic the Justice Department on them. I'm going to close down MSNBC. I mean, come on, you morons out there. If you vote for this guy, you're voting to get rid of our democracy, period.
Yeah.
And when it happens, don't blame the people like myself who tried to warn you. Maybe you should blame me because I haven't been able to convince you. But come on, come up with a better candidate. I saw some woman on television today. I was yelling at my TV screen who said, I'm a very good Christian. She's like Christian fundamentalist. And Donald Trump is here to save the Christian faith.
Holy shit.
Jesus.
Exactly. You know, I mean, do you really believe that? I mean,
I think their ministers in the South are preaching to them and telling them vote for Trump.
well, ma'am, if he had a chance, he'd
He's
probably
the next coming of Christ.
Yeah, if he had, ma'am, if he had a chance, he'd like to pat you on your Christian pussy. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, give me a break. You know, I mean, this kind of mentality out there that's going. You know, it's absurd. It's absurd. Now they're starting to have a race out here for George Santos's seat. It's going to be in February. The election's going to be in February.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens. You know?
Is he doing? I saw in the news where he's doing these
Cameo.
birthday wishes and stuff.
Cameo. Yeah.
He said he's already made more than his yearly salary in Congress.
This guy's a lying clown.
Yeah.
I hope-
Yeah. Well,
I
wait a
hope
minute. Wait a
they- I
minute.
hope-
Tell me how that differs from most of the politicians in Washington.
That's a good
Part of
point.
his job.
You know, I mean, I can't be too critical of Santos because if he is dishonest, a leech, a liar, all of those things, so are his compatriots in Congress. You know what
Yep.
makes them so wonderful? You know, to begin with, I never felt they should have kicked him out. Hell, he's got what, a year left? Let him serve it out. Then they can hold their election and get rid of him. He wasn't going to run again anyway, he said.
Well, we didn't know that.
Well,
He said it, but we don't know if he was going to run.
well,
again.
if he was going to run again, he could try, but he would never get the nomination in his district, in his home
No.
district. You know,
Yeah, well,
I mean, if anybody in his home, if in his home district they voted for him, that's what they deserve. Okay. But you know, so anyway, what else is happening in the news? Anybody? You know, oh, I'll tell you, I came up with a thought about something. Anybody remember chlorophyll?
sure.
Yeah.
That's how I got most of my dates when I was younger.
How was that? By
I was going to say something like that.
Put it in a rag and,
no,
have them sniff
that's
it.
chloroform.
Oh, chlorophyll. Oh, you're talking about the green stuff. Okay.
You did mean that as a joke, didn't you? Yeah. Okay. Good. No, but chlorophyll. Remember chlorophyll? You remember how the theory was? It was like grass, right? It was like the green stuff that's in grass.
Yeah.
And I guess people said, "Did you ever know a sheep with bad breath?" You know, and people go, "Well, not really, no." And they go, "Oh, okay. Well, see, what happens is you chew the chlorophyll in gum, and it'll clean out your breath." Oh, but wait a minute. We're going to start putting chlorophyll in your insoles in your shoes to keep your feet from stinking. And it became this big thing where everything came with chlorophyll,
Yeah.
right? Well, artificial intelligence is the new chlorophyll. It's like they use it for everything now. I get email. Oh, try the new Adobe this. It's got AI in it, you know? And oh, hey, try the new Microsoft Word with AI. I'm going, geez, almighty. You know, how is it AI? I have no idea. So, I mean, the AI is the new chlorophyll. No question in my mind about it. And it's...
You have an iPhone, right, Alex?
Yeah.
You've been using AI for years.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Of course. Somebody came up with this, though, and it's a good idea. Is AI a good term for it? How about alternative intelligence? Really, think about it. It is
AI, Trump intelligence. No.
Now listen, I wrote a spot here. Well, I didn't write it. Actually, I had AI write it.
Yeah.
You want me to play it for you? Let's see if you can hear it.
Yeah.
If you can hear it, let me know if you can hear it. All right? So listen to this and see what you think. This thing was completely written by AI.
Get ready for an exhilarating ride through the realms of news, politics,
Can you hear
and
it?
trivia. It's time to meet at the intersection with your host, Amy Manuel.
Hello, fellow explorers of the intellect. I'm Amy Manuel, and I'm here to guide you through the intersection of liberal politics, breaking news, pop culture, and trivia. It's not just a show, it's an intellectual adventure.
Every Wednesday through Friday at midnight, join Amy as she dissects the latest in liberal politics, giving you insights that go beyond the headlines. But that's not all. Prepare your mind for a trivia challenge like no other. Amy's expertise will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew.
I don't want this to be a one-way street. Call in, share your thoughts, take on the trivia challenge. The intersection is a space for all voices and all perspectives.
So, mark your calendar and set your browser to the intersection. Every Wednesday through Friday at midnight, Amy Manuel is your guide at the crossroads of information and entertainment. Only on GabNet.
That's
Now-
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Wow.
Did you
That's crazy.
feed it? It sounded like Steve Fox's voice.
It was Steve Fox's
Was.
voice.
Yeah, he was reading the script that the AI wrote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so was she. Yeah, I mean the whole thing was. I think Steve said he changed a few words, and that was about
No
it.
kidding.
That was about it. But when I was set out to do some spots for Amy, I said I'll throw her name into the AI program and see what it spits back, and it spit it back as soon as I hit send. It pretty much started writing it. The only thing it added, it said, put some applause in here and put some sound of traffic here, whatever, and I didn't do any of that, okay? But I got this thing back. And I looked at it and kind of dismissed it for a moment, and then I started looking at it again. And I had just written the other spot that I did that Steve read. You didn't hear that one. And I said, this thing's better than the thing I wrote. What do you think? Do you think it was a well-written spot?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Thought.
Amazing, just amazing. So that's AI for you, right? The new chlorophyll.
Yeah, I haven't found any personal use for it. I'm not really sure what the big what people are dying to have it for or whatever. I mean, I get like industry and things like that, but I get down to like an individual level or whatever. I haven't wanted it even or cared for it or whatever. I know that I read articles in some of the publications that I get for organizations that I'm a member of, like the American Historical Association or the Organization of American Historians and them. And every month when they send out all their journals and newsletters and those things, for the last 6, 8, 10 months, there's been at least one article in every single one of them about how it's going to have this huge effect on the historical profession and the teaching profession of that. And, some of the huge worries that, it'll soon just be writing papers for students instead of them doing it themselves and things like that. So, it's a concern, but I mean, I don't want it to do that for me. I'd want to do the work myself, but, and most people maybe don't though. In the undergraduate field or whatever, someone might be taking a history class because they're required to take one, so maybe they would want to use it, and they don't care. But when you get to like the graduate level, the people that are taking those courses, that's all they're taking because that's what they want to do for a living. So I don't imagine that they would be openly cheating because it's something that they actually want to do. But I think it's a concern.
Well, I don't know. I mean, all I know is that for me, I don't want to sit here writing a script all day long.
Yeah.
If it can write one that's better, or at least write one that I can then go into it and correct it, change it, punch it up, whatever, and use a basic template. Why not? You know? I mean, I don't feel I'm cheating the audience. It's just a goddamn promo. It's not going to change their life one way or the other.
Well, yeah, I mean, the information that's in it is accurate. So, I mean, doesn't matter if that thing wrote it or I wrote it. Or
and by the way, I did not put in more than the intersection with Amy Manuel, talk, trivia, social commentary or whatever, and it wrote that spot. You know, it was not only it went online at some point and looked up Amy's credentials as well and adapted it to that, but it did it. I mean, I pushed send, and I would say within 2 seconds that thing was writing itself. It was just coming down on the screen.
Wow.
You know, and by the way, my breath smells better too.
I mean, it was relevant, well done. I mean, the information was right, so
yeah,
nothing wrong with that. You know.
Yeah.
Oh wait a minute. I also have one other story here, and do I have it in the computer? What did I do with it?
I got a story. I found something out today.
Oh, okay.
And it was about England.
Mm-hmm.
And in England, you get government medical. Mm-hmm. I guess it's free. Well, here's a guy who wants to get his hip taken.
Mm-hmm.
They said, okay, well, you're part of the England system, so we're going to have a meeting between you and your doctor to see what we ought to do about your knee that's not working well. Except by the only problem is it takes you 2 years before you could get to see your doctor, just to even talk to him.
Well, you know, it is amazing how if you want to make an appointment with your doctor, say you've got something wrong with your knee, whatever. My doctor, I seem to be able to get to pretty fast, but there are times that Marjorie, her back was killing her, and she had to go see her back doctor, and she couldn't get an appointment till 3 or 4 months later. Yes, Charlie.
In 2013, when I ruptured a disc in my back, it took me 4 months to get an appointment with a specialist to do back surgery on my back before I could even see him.
You know, I hear chlorophyll works well.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll tell you the thing that bothers me is that people are in pain and they would like to get some relief tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, what you can't. The doctor won't see you. Whatever happened to the doctor is in. The doctor isn't in. He's out more than he's in.
And 300 milligrams of chlorophyll 3 times a day.
Right. And call me in the morning.
Al.
Call me in the morning. No, but I mean, it is amazing how long it takes to see a doctor. You know,
Even worse now.
I mean, I was very lucky where my prostate cancer was concerned, in that my doctor, the urologist, saw me pretty fast, did the biopsy, found out that I had the cancer, immediately recommended this doctor, who was Rudy Giuliani's doctor, by the way.
Oh, wow.
I know, but he saved my life, so to hell with it. You know, he also saved Rudy's life, but that's the downside.
Yeah.
And then he immediately had me in there within, I'd say, a week or two, getting the first what do you call it, the radiation, and then after the radiation was through, he was immediately there, ready to do the seed implantation. So I was very lucky. That was very fast. But I think where cancer is concerned, they try to do that fast, because time could cause problems, you know. But I mean, it's just that I know everything's so expensive these days. It's ridiculous, just ridiculous. You know. Now, here's the thing that scares me. We just found a drug prescription plan that, according to the guy who goes out and looks for insurance for us, says is a full plan and whatever, and it's $20 a month. Where the other one was going up to $80 a month. And I want to know what I'm not getting with the, you automatically become suspicious, you know. But it's also from a major company, so I can't, you know. But what? Somebody want to say something? Okay. Oh, by the way, how's it going with Brian? Yesterday on the program took a COVID test because he had to go to work today and turn it in, right? Okay. So what happened?
I'm still here.
Oh, okay. So they accepted your COVID test and said that's fine?
Yeah, we're just seeing a spike in Sweden right now, so we just want to be a little bit cautious.
A spike where?
We in Sweden, so we have a manufacturing plant in Sweden, but we do everything. We're very cautious. We test wastewater, so all the wastewater getting out of the building, we do sampling on that just to make sure that we're not seeing COVID there, and then we have a bunch of other testing we're doing. So yeah, so I was going to ask him if there was if we did catch people that had COVID or not, because sometimes we've done that. And then we do catch people that have COVID and send them home. So I don't know if anybody had COVID or not. But
are you the collector of the wastewater?
No.
Oh.
Did you want that job? You just stick your hand in there and get a sample.
Not me, baby. I'm retired.
I didn't think they'd like you to put your hand in there. You'd have to use a cup. And then drink it and see if it's
Alan
okay.
could wash his hands and he could put his hands in there.
No. After you take the cup out, you put it into a hypodermic needle, and Trump could sell that to curing COVID.
Why is it every joke you come up with ends with Trump this or Trump that?
Or Republican this or Republican that.
Yeah.
You know what?
Because he's an easy target.
It probably is worth mentioning, though, that Joe Biden is apparently going to be, or on the path to being, impeached for taking, quote from the chairman of the committee, Mr. Comer, quote, "We know they got tens of millions of dollars from bad people in bad countries. We don't know exactly what they did. We fear Joe Biden is compromised." And on this, and then today, Trump signed an agreement to go into business with the Saudis in their Live Golf operation to come to Doral for tens of millions of dollars for a couple of years. So there's Trump's organization taking money directly from the Saudi government.
Yep. But, what's good for the goose is not necessarily good for the gander.
Right.
I mean,
and if you ask the 9/11 Commission, they will tell you that the Saudi government basically funded the hijackers who flew the plane on September 11th. Now, that commission's report was made public, and those lines were blacked out. But if you'll watch the 60 Minutes piece where they let people with the right clearance go into the SCIF at the CIA and read the report, and then you ask them, did it say that the Saudi government did it? They say, I'm not allowed to say that one way or the other. But when they're looking at the camera, they're going.
So what they're saying is the Saudis did 9/11, basically?
They paid for it.
The 9/11 Commission basically confirmed that the Saudi government had a lot of back channel involving and financed the hijackers' trips to America and their stays here and their training.
Because we all know that Osama bin Laden was a Saudi.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think
very similar to the way that we see Hamas being propped up now by the Iranians. same kind of relationship.
Right.
I mean, it's not as if, their president goes on TV and talks about it, but that was how it worked. And I'm not saying Trump is the first to get in business with the Saudis, right? I mean,
No,
so
the Bushes.
I'm not saying
don't talk about Biden being in business with.
That's my point.
Yeah.
I mean, who are the bad people that Biden were? Some business companies in China.
The thing is,
well,
with this whole impeachment thing, they don't even have any proof of anything.
Yeah, right.
Okay. And how do you go ahead with something like this? Why go ahead with this and not take care of a budget? Okay.
Yeah.
Why? And you're going on vacation next week. Because while they still need to have a budget taken care of, and they haven't done that, but what they're going to do is they're going to stick around for the next week in order to pass border regulations.
Well, and that's only the Senate because the House is already adjourned and took off.
Hey, the House is gone.
The House isn't going to stick around, but the Senate...
They're already gone. They've already left town. They adjourned.
But the Senate is sticking around.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess, maybe. I think it was up in the air, but... they can't take care of business and then think they deserve a break. Well, you get a break when the work is done. I mean, I don't think Churchill said, time out, I got to go to the south of France for a while. Oh, wait, it's occupied by Nazi Germany. I guess I can't.
Damn.
I mean, there's a crisis, you got to take care of it.
Yeah, but I mean, I just don't understand why... they can't, they can do a lot of things, but they can't seem to pass a budget. I mean, it's amazing to me. They can spend all their time, waste all their time on this impeachment thing with Biden, which they know is going to come to nothing, because they have no proof of anything. I'll tell you the other thing quickly, and we have very little time left. But the economy. Have you seen what the stock market's done for the last 2 days?
It's higher than
I made a lot of money in the last couple of days.
Good.
And by the way, have you seen gas prices lately?
Yeah.
And by the way, you're so in California, but that's because you got all
Brian, $3.89 at Costco down by Cottle. $3.89.
Wow.
Yeah, look, I bought gas today for $2.60 a gallon, and if you have a flex fuel vehicle, there are stations around here that we're selling it for $2 a gallon.
Wow.
So
$2.39 here in Austin.
Yeah. So
California below
$4 for Austin.
And
below $4 in California is obscene.
And by the way, the cost of living has gone down. So I mean, who says, boy, Biden's doing a lousy job?
The Republicans. Bill Maher.
Yeah, I mean, what bad job? Right. I mean, for a guy who's doddering, according to everybody, right? He's certainly getting the job done, Oh, well, he wasn't responsible for that. Trump was. Okay, fine. Yeah, I love it's just ridiculous. But anyway, hey, listen. I'm playing the theme now, which you can't hear. And I've decided the reason you can't hear it is because Zoom prevents you from hearing it. Because they think it's copyrighted music. That's what I've been told. Anyway, Jeff, good hearing from you again tonight.
Let's all say we can hear it, and then they'll think we can.
Yeah. Kevin, good to see you again. Yeah. And Charlie, always great to see you. Josh, great having you here. Brian, thank your daughter for joining us tonight. Thank you and tell her to thank her daddy for being here tonight, okay? And then again, we also have the lovely and attractive Alan, and that's pretty much our group for tonight. Why don't you all give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you, okay? There they go, folks. Bye. There they go. Listen, Amy. Manuel is next with the intersection. She will not be on via AI, but she will be taking your calls on Skype at Gabnet Live. I'll see you again on Monday with the pop-up show. It'll be on Facebook, and then I'll see you again next Wednesday. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Good night, everybody. Have a nice weekend.